In this video, I want to talk quietly and honestly about a supplement that helped improve kidney function by more than 10 points in people living with stage 4 and 5 CKD and why it's suddenly being pushed toward a ban. I've spent over a decade walking alongside CKD patients, often using supplements labeled forbidden, even when they quietly worked better than anything else. Over the years, I've learned what truly helps and what fears are exaggerated to keep people away from real solutions. So let me ask you gently, are supplements really dangerous? Will they cause kidney stones, damage your liver, harden your arteries, or are those warnings part of a bigger story? Today, I'm sharing 5 supplements authorities and internet doctors don't want you to touch, some of the most effective tools I still recommend for CKD patients. We'll also clear up the misinformation surrounding them. And please stay until the end, because my number 1 choice improved kidney function in stage 4 and 5 patients by an average of 10.3%. Let's start gently with number 5. This is a supplement known for its powerful anti-inflammatory effects, its ability to support blood sugar balance, and yes, even its potential to help with proteinuria in some people. Before I share my thoughts, I want you to hear what a doctor from the Mayo Clinic has to say. In the world of kidney disease, they often focus on a category the National Kidney Foundation labels as high-risk supplements. High risk, they say, because these products contain potassium or phosphorus. According to this doctor and the NKF, the real villains in the supplement world are, cue the dramatic pause, potassium and phosphorus. Now, pause with me for a second. There are products sitting openly on supermarket shelves that can stress your kidneys far more aggressively than most people realize. Yet the obsession is still laser-focused on potassium and phosphorus, as if nothing else matters. So let's hear what she considers the most dangerous of all. The answer? Flaxseed. Yes, flaxseed. Those tiny seeds people casually sprinkle over their morning oats or blend into smoothies. According to the Mayo Clinic, flaxseed ranks among the most common high-risk supplements taken by people with kidney disease, simply because it contains phosphorus. Let that sink in. Not a pill. Not a synthetic compound. A food. Apparently, once flaxseed is discussed through the lens of phosphorus alone, it suddenly transforms from a humble seed into a dangerous supplement. And that's where things stop making sense. When real food is stripped of its context and reduced to a single mineral, we lose the bigger picture, and that's exactly where so much fear around kidney nutrition begins. But let's slow down and ask a fair question: are they at least right about the phosphorus? A single tablespoon of flaxseed, about 7 grams, contains roughly 40 milligrams of phosphorus. Now take a breath with me and put that number in context. 6 ounces of yogurt delivers around 245 milligrams. 1 cup of milk? About 226 milligrams. A modest 3-ounce chicken breast comes in at roughly 182 milligrams. So why the silence around those foods, while tiny flax seeds are painted as the danger? At this point, it almost feels like we should be warned about breathing too much air. Here's the part that rarely gets mentioned: phosphorus from plant foods like flaxseed is poorly absorbed. Your body doesn't take in all 40 milligrams. In reality, it's closer to 10 milligrams. That's what actually reaches your system. Meanwhile, a single meal with chicken, dairy, or processed foods can quietly push 800 to 1,000 milligrams of highly absorbable phosphorus straight toward already tired kidneys. That's the real strain, and yes, that matters. And here's the quiet truth: today, flaxseed is often recommended to CKD patients by thoughtful, well-trained dietitians. Not influencers. Not fear merchants. Professionals. There are studies showing that regular flaxseed intake can protect the kidneys, especially in people dealing with chronic inflammation. In some cases, it's even been linked to measurable improvements in kidney function. Sometimes, the most gentle foods get the loudest warnings while the real burden slips by unnoticed. Now let's lean into something really important: flaxseed and diabetes. In an 8-week study involving 57 people with type 2 diabetes, those who consumed just 10 to 30 grams of flaxseed per day saw meaningful drops in their HbA1c compared to those who didn't. The researchers believe the effect comes from flaxseed's anti-inflammatory nature. And that matters deeply, because we're talking about a simple seed that calms inflammation and helps control diabetes, the #1 cause of kidney failure worldwide. So tell me, why would anyone want to keep kidney patients away from it? Is the concern really about patient safety, or is it about something else? Revenue streams? Treatment models? I'll let you draw your own conclusions. And just to show that questionable advice isn't limited to big institutions, let's take a small detour for some unintended comedy. Here comes a very famous influencer. Unless your doctor tells you otherwise, stop wasting your money on these 7 supplements. Yes, Dr. Gundry. I've always known he'd show up in one of my videos eventually. So what's today's groundbreaking health wisdom? Smoking for stronger lungs? Tanning beds for eternal youth? Let's see. #1 on his list, calcium supplements. Oh no, those inexpensive calcium supplements that can help protect kidney patients from hyperphosphatemia and oxalate stones. Why waste money on those, right? He claims there's no evidence calcium supplements actually help get calcium into your bones. Now, here's the surprising part: buried beneath the exaggeration, he's almost right. Studies do show that increasing calcium intake, whether from food or supplements, only leads to small increases in bone mineral density. So yes, taking calcium supplements just to build bones isn't the whole story. On that narrow point, he's not wrong. But then comes the leap. He suggests calcium supplements end up clogging arteries, while calcium from food magically knows to go straight into bones. That sounds tidy, but science doesn't really support it. Most well-designed studies show that the source of calcium doesn't significantly change where it ends up. Whether it comes from food or supplements, the effect on bone density is small and non-progressive. So the real takeaway, the quiet, evidence-based truth is this: it's not where your calcium comes from that matters as much as how your body uses it, what else you're eating, and what your kidneys can safely handle. And once again, nuance gets lost while fear gets amplified. So here's my honest, grounded advice: if your goal is stronger bones, don't obsess over calcium alone. Focus on vitamin D and vitamin K2. The body is far more nuanced than the idea that more calcium automatically means stronger bones. Bone health is a conversation, not a single sentence. But somehow, that subtlety always gets lost. Now, Dr. Gundry loves to bring up the Icarians of southern Italy, pointing to their love of small fish like sardines and anchovies as the secret to long life. Eat sardines, he says, because they did. But let me speak from lived experience. I spent most of my life in Italy and actually studied this topic. The so-called Icarians of southern Italy were a small group of families who lived in a tiny Sicilian village that vanished more than a century ago. What you see today are ruins. They are not quietly thriving somewhere, eating sardines and defying aging. They're gone. So no, there is no magical ghost diet to follow here. Now, to be fair, his advice about getting calcium from food can make sense if your kidneys are healthy and if your body absorbs calcium well. But here's the part that always gets ignored: people with kidney disease almost always struggle with low calcium availability. In CKD, calcium supplementation can actually play an important role not because it magically shuttles calcium into your bones, but because it binds phosphorus and oxalate in the gut. That binding prevents these compounds from flooding the bloodstream, where they cause real harm. And phosphorus is especially cruel to bones. When too much of it circulates, the body has only one way to protect itself: it pulls calcium directly out of your bones to neutralize it. That's the reality no one talks about. So once again, context matters. Kidney disease changes the rules. An advice that sounds clean and simple on the surface can become dangerous when it ignores how the body actually works, especially when the kidneys are already struggling. This is exactly why, in the right situation, I often suggest around 1,200 milligrams of calcium carbonate with meals. And let me be very clear and gentle here: this advice is only for people whose blood tests show high phosphorus while calcium itself is still in a healthy range. That combination is incredibly common in stage 4 and 5 CKD. But I don't believe in guessing. I never recommend calcium supplements without actually monitoring calcium and phosphorus levels. Numbers matter. Context matters. Your kidneys deserve that level of care. Now, let's move on to number 3. We're going from an influencer everyone knows to one most people have never heard of, and yet, she's out there telling her audience to avoid some of the most kidney protective vitamins we have. Let's listen for a moment. Here are 3 supplements you should never take. Number 1 on her list: folic acid. And I almost laughed, because folic acid is one of the most well-studied, kidney-saving vitamins we know of. Especially for people with CKD who are doing everything they can to slow progression and avoid dialysis. So what's her argument? Folic acid isn't natural. It's chemically derived. Sometimes, she says, from petrochemicals. Cue the dramatic music. Big oil. Poison vitamins. Anything synthetic must be dangerous. Welcome to Vitamin Conspiracy Theory 101. And yes, she's a naturopath. This is exactly the kind of thinking that gives our entire profession a bad name. Because believing that natural automatically means safe, and synthetic automatically means harmful, isn't wisdom, it's oversimplification. After all, salmonella is natural. Arsenic is natural. Hemlock is natural. And none of those belong in your body. Meanwhile, plenty of things that aren't natural are both safe and life-saving. Including folic acid. And we don't have to guess. There was a large, well-designed study involving 15,114 participants showing that just 0.8 milligrams of folic acid per day reduced the risk of CKD progression by 56% and slowed eGFR decline by 44%. Let that sink in. This vitamin doesn't just help, it can literally protect kidney function. That's why I routinely recommend folic acid to patients taking ACE inhibitors or ARBs. It's not trendy. It's evidence-based. And we're not done yet. Because if she's wrong about folic acid, wait until you hear what she says about ascorbic acid. Let's talk quietly and honestly about vitamin C for a moment. Unless your label clearly says from berries or whole food sourced, most vitamin C tablets, capsules, chewables is ascorbic acid that's synthetically made. Usually from genetically modified corn and a strong acid. Cue the horror music, right? A synthetic vitamin. From a GMO plant. With acid. Oh no! I've taken the whole bottle. Am I doomed? Yes, it's synthetic, and no, there is absolutely nothing dangerous about that. You know what is dangerous? Scurvy. And here's something that actually matters for kidney patients. For CKD, a low dose of ascorbic acid around 60 to 100 milligrams per day is often the preferred and safest form of vitamin C. Simple, effective, evidence-based. She goes on to attack B-complex vitamins too, but I'll spare you that particular headache. What I did find fascinating is how, after 2 full minutes of vitamin fear-mongering packed with more misinformation than a year of tabloid headlines, we finally discover the punchline: she's selling her own line of organic vitamins. Ah yes. Every vitamin is dangerous, unless it's the one I sell. So please keep taking your B-complex if it's appropriate for you, and don't let influencers scare you just to make your life more confusing than it already is. Now, before we get to number 1, let's enjoy a little bonus round of misinformation. We've heard it from authorities. We've heard it from wellness villains. So for a change of pace, let's hear it from the internet's nicest doctor, Dr. Mike. Cue the React video, reacting to another React video. Reactception. At one point, he asks, what's the difference between a dog kidney and a human kidney? And honestly, I know many of you already know the answer. Yes, dog kidneys are similar to ours. No, we can't transplant them into humans, at least not yet. Compatibility, immune rejection, anatomy, lifespan, the list is long. So when he casually wonders whether a kidney from a dog might work and then immediately doubts it, you can almost hear the collective facepalm. Dog kidneys might not last as long. Correct. They're similar, but you can't harvest them. Also correct. Do dogs even have kidneys? Yes. Yes, they do. That moment genuinely made me laugh. And you know what? It was harmless, human, and kind of endearing. Maybe I should do more reaction videos. Because sometimes, the best way to deal with misinformation after you've corrected it is to laugh, take a breath, and keep going forward with clarity instead of fear. But honestly, if I ever need a kidney transplant, I truly hope my surgeon isn't Dr. Mike. Otherwise, I might wake up with a dog's kidney. Bear, relax, I would never harvest your organs. Your kidneys are safe. Always. All jokes aside, we can't take kidneys from animals, so there's no need to worry. Yes, researchers are exploring xenotransplantation using animals as organ donors, but that only works if those animals are bioengineered from the very beginning. We're talking about lab-created, highly modified clones, not your family dog. And for anyone still wondering why we can't just transplant an animal kidney into a human, the answer is something called hyperacute rejection. Even when a human donor is a good match, the recipient's immune system still recognizes the new organ as foreign. Without immunosuppressive medication, the body will attack and destroy that organ within days. That's normal rejection, and it's why transplant patients must take anti-rejection drugs for life. Now imagine what would happen if that organ came from an animal. Medications wouldn't stand a chance. The immune response would be immediate and overwhelming. In early experiments, doctors literally watched transplanted animal organs darken, shut down, and fail within hours. That's hyperacute rejection in real time. So yes, trying to transplant a dog kidney into a human would be catastrophic. End of story. Now, let's move gently into number 1. This is the supplement that improved kidney function in stage 4 and 5 CKD patients by an average of 10.3%. And to find it, we're going to do something interesting. We're going to look at the American Kidney Foundation's own list of herbal supplements you're told to avoid. Right there, at the very top, is astragalus. Which is exactly why astragalus is our number one. Because when you dig past the warnings and into the actual science, you find something remarkable. Astragalus has been studied in 22 clinical trials, involving 1,323 participants, many of them in advanced kidney failure including stage 5. Across these studies, patients saw an average reduction in creatinine of 2.39 g/L, often within just 3 months. That's not anecdotal. That's measurable. And yes, many of those patients were very sick. So when a supplement repeatedly shows the ability to lower creatinine, even in late-stage CKD, and it still ends up on an avoid list, that's when we need to pause, look closer, and ask better questions. Because sometimes, the most powerful tools are hidden in plain sight, quietly dismissed, while patients are left believing nothing can help. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Astragalus is one of those quiet herbs that doesn't shout but it shows. Especially when it comes to lowering creatinine naturally in people with advanced CKD. In one study involving 35 patients in stage 4 and 5, something remarkable happened. After just 3 months of using astragalus, the decline in kidney function didn't just slow, it actually reversed. Let that land for a moment. In those same 3 months, kidney function improved by an average of 10.3% compared to where it was before. That's not a small shift. For people who've been told nothing can help at that stage, that kind of change matters deeply. In the studies, the approach was simple, about 2 to 4 grams of astragalus powder per day. Now, I want to be gentle but clear about one important caution. Astragalus can stimulate the immune system. For most people, that's a good thing. But if you're a transplant recipient or taking medications that suppress or modulate your immune system, this is not the herb for you. So then we have to ask, why does the Kidney Foundation warn people away from astragalus? Interestingly, their wording is careful. They say it may affect kidney function. They don't say it damages kidneys. They don't say it worsens disease. So yes, don't take astragalus. Don't take the risk that it might improve your kidney function. And if that irony doesn't make you pause, I don't know what will. That's all for today. Thank you for trusting me with your time. God bless you all. Bye-bye.